Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Manish Jain or Mr. Jain. You're watching Electric Avenue. This is episode number 4. I know it just seems like I just released episode 3, which got really delayed, but I'm hoping to get back into a more regular rhythm on the monthly podcast for Electric Avenue. Anyways, let's dive right into our March 2023 wrap up. So as you can see, we got some topics here, a little bit more than usual. So the first one is we're going to talk about the monthly numbers that just ended in March. And since it's the year ending in India, so we're going to talk about the yearly EV registration numbers. We'll talk about any recent EV launches, some EV news. Then we're going to do a deep dive into battery packs, which is kind of interesting. So I'll talk about who are the big battery pack manufacturers, the different types of battery packs. And it's not going to be a super technical, but as usual, it's going to be a very almost like a battery pack 101 for you. So you kind of understand when people talk about battery packs, what do they mean? Number 5, we're going to talk about my very first public charging fail at a CPO, which is a charge point operator. I just happened about a week ago, and I sat there for almost 30 minutes trying to get the thing going. Didn't work. I was working with the company to get things going. They weren't able to help, so I left, and then I went back the next day. And what I'm going to show you in that video is what happened the next day. Luckily, everything worked out, and it was great, but it was still really painful. And I would imagine most people that are new to EVs will have faced this issue. And then the last one, number 6, as the usual EV car spotting that I've seen around cars here in Bombay. Anyways, that's the list of topics. All right, let's get into number 1. Let's talk about the EV registration figures. Here we've got them. So I'm going to show you, we have got March 2023, and then the last column is financial year 2022-23. So as usual, of course, Tata Motors leading the race. And it's kind of weird. I'm not 100% sure these numbers are accurate, but according to everybody saying that the Vahan numbers are real, so it's legit that Tata Motors went from almost 3,700 units in February to 7,100 units in March. We'll go with it. MG Motors also did from 345 to 497, so that's also quite interesting. BYD did well. M&M had 237, which is kind of interesting because that actually is mainly 237 right here. This 237. That's because they just launched their XUV, their eXUV 400. So that's kind of where those numbers come from. Then you got Renault at 205, BMW, Volvo, and Hyundai down the list. But I guess the real interesting thing is, let me just make this pen a little bit bigger so we can mark it up. But the real thing is these numbers here. If you add them all up, I'm going to say it's close to around 40,000 EVs. So that is a total number of passenger vehicles sold in India is around 40,000. Not bad. And I would imagine it's only going to get better because we're getting more and more competition in India. I think BYD is going to launch several more. I think more and more people are getting interested in it. When you look at the number of Tata Nexons on the road, I just feel like they're everywhere. And maybe that's because now I have an EV that I see more and more of them. But I definitely feel more people are interested in it. And I do believe the charging infrastructure is only going to get better so you don't have that whole range anxiety. But anyways, that's the numbers. That's what we got for March 2023 and then the financial year ending also. Overall, I think they did very well. All of the EV products in India are doing well, and I think the sales numbers kind of speak for themselves. Okay, so next up are the EV launches. There are not a lot. There's only one actually. This, as you can see here, is the Kia EV9. And as I mentioned, I really want to focus on stuff that is coming to India. The only reason why I'm bringing up this product is because it was actually shown at the Delhi Auto Expo in January 2023. And then on March 15th, Kia launched it globally across the world. So I have a pretty good idea that I think it may come to India, but let's see. As you can see, these pictures are stunning. It's an amazing looking vehicle. I just love that rear lights look just fabulous. I mean, I just think that these lights look really cool. And then, of course, overall, the front of it looks amazing, as you can see up here as well, that grill. I mean, I think they've done a really good job. You can kind of see here, these lights are pretty cool looking as well. Overall, awesome job that I think Kia has done with the EV9. And, they are just on a roll. They've got so many amazing cars. They've got the, Ioniq 5 that won Car of the Year. They've got the Kia EV6 that's also won a couple. The new one that just came out, the Kona that they've launched, that's also gotten some rave reviews. So they've done really well on the design side. So that's pretty much it that we've got for new car launches in India. Next up is the news. Only really one article I could find that's even worth talking about. This was from Kia. They recently announced that their Kia EV6, they sold close to 432 of them in India. And so they launched it in June 2022. And in a short span of time, they've sold 432, which is apparently 4 times as many as they expected to sell. And they're opening up bookings for the new 2023 version, and they're expecting even more to be sold. So that's actually quite surprising. They had a pretty low number of, I think they were talking about 100 or 200 when it come to the market. And as you can see, the number got blown out with 432. So that's really the only EV news that's out there. That's a wrap. All right, so we're going to talk about the deep dive next. And today's deep dive, we're going to talk about battery packs. When you look at an EV, the most important thing really is the battery architecture, which is the battery pack, the battery management system, all of that. So I was just looking at a couple reports, and if you look at this chart here, it talks about, the overall battery part of the EVs. And if you look at the market cap, it gives you an indication of where the real money is. So if you look at the market cap of raw materials and mining, that's around 58 billion. And if you look at materials processing, that's 62 billion. You move to component manufacturing, that's around 25 billion. And then the big one is around cell packing manufacturing, and that's around 184 billion. Now, this is, of course, based on the market cap of the companies that are trading, but this is what we're going to talk about today. This entire section here, this is going to be talking about, the battery packs, the manufacturers, and at a high level, who's using what battery pack. And then, of course, the next part after that, if you can see here, you've got battery data. That's the BMS system. That's around 36 billion. And then you've got the recycling, which, of course, is a huge thing because really like 90% of the battery can be recycled, which is great. So once they figure that out, I think it'll be an amazing, life cycle where you can kind of keep on using the battery again and again and again. But for today's section, we're really just going to talk about the battery pack and who manufactures the battery. So let's kind of dive into it. So this is a great graphic because it kind of shows you who are the big players. So at number one is a company called CATL, CATL, and they are based out of China. And actually, that's one of the funny things you'll see is if you look at this down here, you can kind of see that China, Japan, Korea, basically all the Asian countries own or operate the top 10. That's it. Germany's missing from this. The US is completely missing from this. And of course, India is a very distant, God knows where they are. But I would imagine hopefully something's happening in India. And hopefully it's a couple of kids in a garage and they're able to figure out that you can use dirt to make a battery pack. But let's see, who knows? But anyways, getting back to this graphic, which is a really good infographic, you've got CATL here. And if you can kind of see, it'll actually tell you, when you look at CATL supplies batteries to Tesla, BMW, and Volkswagen, and that's the reason why they're one of the largest. Number two is LG Solutions. They've got a pretty good big deal right now with General Motors. So they actually, right here, if you can kind of see it, LG's at 14%, and they've got a pretty big deal, like I said, with General Motors. And BYD, this is an interesting one. So BYD is one of the few that are actually not only does the entire battery pack, but it also sells the car. So it's what they call, full stack. They do everything, not only from the manufacturing of the body panels, the electronics, but also the most important component, which is the battery pack. And then if you look over here, number 10 is 10%. You've got Panasonic. Surprisingly, the Panasonic batteries are actually used in the Tesla battery packs. So Tesla uses a wide variety of manufacturers. I think they're also trying to figure out how they can create their own battery pack because I think Tesla is very similar in BYD that they want to do everything on their own because that's where the intellectual property is you can do everything together and have one single location for that, or one company, I should say. So now, if you look at the rest of them, you've got SK, you've got Samsung, and then you've got these others here in China as well. So, but as I said, the craziest thing is most of them, are in Asia, and it kind of makes me wonder, like, what has been happening. We've got companies like Duracell we've heard of, that made AA, AAA batteries for the longest time. They kind of missed the boat. Whereas I think a lot of these Asian, companies have really taken over. So that's kind of it. Now, one of the things is when we talk about batteries and battery packs and what is a battery pack? So these are the three types of batteries you'll see. One is a cylindrical cell that we're all used to. That's like a AA, AAA, size D battery. And this is what is most used in the Tesla battery packs. Then you've got what they call a prismatic cell, and then you've got a pouch cell. And both of these are used as well. And when we talk about battery pack, so here, this is the actual battery that I'm showing you. So this is the actual battery, but then people say, well, it's in a battery pack. So the question is, how does it go from a battery into a pack? So this is a really good graphic here where you take a cell. So you take this cell, let's say, then you stick it into a module, and then you take this entire module and you put it into a pack. And this is usually what is in the bottom of the floorboard of the car is the battery pack. So when we talk about battery packs, this is what we mean. We're going to take all these small little cells and then shove them together into a battery pack. And then if you use these others, if you're going to use, let's say, a prismatic cell or a pouch cell, it's the same thing. You're going to do the same thing, and then you're going to shove them into a module, and then you put them into a battery pack. So that's kind of the overall construction of it. Now, as I said, I didn't get into lithium ion. I didn't get into any of that. This is a very high level, just so you understand. When people talk about battery packs, at least you'll have some fucking understanding of what it is. So this is a great graphic that I found because I've always wondered, what is the size of these cells? How do you compare a AAA battery to a Tesla 4680? So as you can see, the 4680 gets its name from basically it gets its name from the dimensions. So it's actually 46 millimeters tall and, it's actually 46 millimeters wide and it's 80 millimeters tall. So that's the 4680 where that comes from. And that's what Tesla uses to basically pack them in. And so this is the difference. So the 18650 and the 2170 were the older ones, and the 4680 is the newest technology from Tesla in their battery packs. And these are the three that are the big leaders that everybody talks about. It's CATL, BYD with their Blade structural battery, and then of course the Tesla, the 4680 structural battery. So when they say structural, what they mean is actually that pack that you're seeing here is part of the underbody, the frame. So it's got enough rigidity that if it gets into an accident, it almost acts like, hey, this is also a safety feature. So this is really the new generation. The other older generation, the older battery packs, they had a frame around a frame, and it had a lot of other things, and the batteries were sitting inside. But here, the batteries are actually part of the strength of the battery pack and of the frame. So that's the difference. So that actually can save on weight, and it's also, a safety feature. And like I said, this is the Tesla 4680 that everyone has been talking about. This is the one that is, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is probably in the Tesla Model S Plaid. Which is the fastest car available right now that you can get, production car. So that's kind of it, is, like I said, a real quick introduction. And I'm going to just leave you with this graphic because I think this is probably one of the better ones. Is, the EV manufacturing, battery manufacturers here. And at number one, like I mentioned, is cattle. But hopefully this was informative. You got some information. And, if you have any questions, hit me up and I'll hopefully be able to answer them for you. All right, so next up on the list is number 5. We're going to talk about my first EV charging failure at a public CPO charge point operator. So I've had my car now, my EV6, for about 2 months. But the problem is I don't have my home charger installed yet because my building is going through some repairs. So that's going to take another month or so. So in the meantime, I've been going to these public EV charging facilities, and I had my first failed attempt about 3-4 days ago. And the video I'm going to show you now is going to kind of show you about where I was charging it and what ended up happening. Also, it'll give you a little peek of my car itself. So you get to kind of see the car. People complained that I didn't show them my car. So this one's going to show you a little bit about it. But side note, this video I took outside, obviously, in a building in BKC with a lot of noise, a lot of construction. And the crazy thing is, you've probably been hearing a lot about AI, artificial intelligence. Well, what is crazy about this video you're going to hear is for the first 5 or 6 seconds, I'm going to have it as the raw audio that came out of the camera. And then after that, I'm going to enable the AI intelligence in DaVinci Resolve that takes away all of the background noise. It isolates the voice. It's unreal. I mean, it went from super noisy to like there was no noise at all, and there was massive construction. All right, so this is my very first fail event of an EV. I'm back here again. This is at the Nucleus Office Building 1 BKC. I'm charging my Kia EV6. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to kind of talk about the charging, and then also we'll get into the car because many people have asked, hey, I want to check out the car. You've not talked about it. You've talked about it, but you haven't shown it to us. So anyways, let's get to it. So here we are. This is at 1BKC. Now, unfortunately, this is what I can't understand is it tells you to download the partner app, sign up and add it to your wallet. What it doesn't tell you is what the name of the app is. So that's kind of a lame thing. And then when you actually download the app, it'll tell you here that there's gun A and B. In the app, it talks about numbers 1 and 2. So good, valiant attempt by Ego, but I feel like their UI UX can be way, way better. And even if you look here, the way you park your car, there is absolutely not enough room if I were to park my car. So I actually had to park it this way so I could actually fit the car because cars would be coming and going. So even the location of this charging station isn't the best, but at least it's shaded, which is nice. Versus, a lot of them are just out in the open in the sun. So what we're doing is we're going to jump in the car so you can take a look at it. So this is kind of what it looks like from the front. Now, there's a lot of background noise. I'm going to hopefully remove a lot of it using the noise filters in DaVinci Resolve. Well, let's just jump into the car. And then once I jump in the car, obviously noise is going to be much less. And you get in the car, you got the dual display here, which is kind of nice. And then you got to see, this is the other display here. So got a lot of great information. Obviously, it's saying unplug to start, and it gives you kind of a charging update. So what we can do is we can click here and actually tell you what's happening. I'm at 86%. I'm going to try to go to 100%. That's going to take me some time. But yeah, this is kind of it. Interiors are pretty amazing. It's got a roof, sunroof, moonroof up here. Overall, great quality interiors. But like I said, hey, man, if you really want to see a great video on the Kia EV6, check out Doug DeMuro. He does a great breakdown, quirks, features, all that fun shit that he does. But anyways, we'll just get back out and I'll kind of do another quick roundabout of my car, and then you can kind of see it. So I've changed the lens of it so you can kind of see more of the car and charging of it. Gotta say, this thing looks amazing from the front, no doubt, with those lights going.
It is top notch. There, of course, is a security guard who's watching me, telling me he's never seen anyone charge here before. So, kind of crazy that this is one BKC, probably one of the most prestigious buildings in BKC. They've put 4 charging units up here, and I'm the first car to actually be using this. So, yeah, as you can see, they've got the DC fast charging 60 kilowatt over there.
All right, man, we are on the home stretch. We are now going to talk about EV car spotting. So now this one I saw this about maybe a year or two ago. This is the Audi e-tron GT, and you can just see I love this olive green. Looks super menacing. Just looks amazing. Got great road presence. But you know, these are some of the high-level stats of that card. So it's like I said, the Audi e-tron GT. It's not the top level spec. I think that's the Audi RS e-tron GT. This one is around 1.8 crore on the road. It's got a 93 kilowatt hour battery pack. It's got about a 480 kilometer range. Pretty beefy motors, and can do from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 4.1 seconds. This is built on the same Porsche Taycan frame. So they share the same platform because obviously Porsche and Audi are both part of the Volkswagen Automotive Group. So they kind of do a lot of part sharing and platform sharing. But anyways, let me just kind of show you this car again. So that's, as you can see, just looks amazing. They've done a great job. You know, it'd be almost a coin toss between getting this versus the Porsche Taycan. They both look amazing. But that's the car spotting. And that's a wrap, folks. That's the end of episode number 4 of Electric Avenue. If you have any questions, let me know. Any comments, let me know. And until next time, I'll see you around. Bye.
Oh no, we're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take